All right, you guys, welcome back to another episode of Triple B. So this video is a response to the interview that I did with Karlyn Borysenko. For those who haven't seen it yet, maybe just click this off, hit the link in the description, and go see it first for yourself. I had a really nice time. It was really cool. It was a really great experience. I know there's some people unhappy about some of the things she said, but I kind of wanted to come and give my response to it because yesterday was a really healthy conversation, and it was a wild conversation, and we definitely had our political differences, particularly in the fascism department, which I want to say one thing on real quick. Why would I sit down with someone who's a self-declared fascist? Because I would have, regardless of anybody, I don't care who I have to talk to. I enjoy talking with people from all walks of life. I actually reached out to Black Panther maybe about a year ago, and that interview almost happened, and then it just fell through. So, I'm willing to talk to anybody. But the reality is, even when people closest to me who I knew who she was were telling me that she was basically a self-declared fascist, you spend enough time in these Antifa crowds, that word becomes devalued so hard to where even the most intelligent people in my sphere who were saying that and being like, just watch out, be careful, do what you're going to do. We know we can't stop you. I didn't believe them because that word has no power anymore. So I figured I'd ask her the question myself, which I did, and I got the answers for myself. So that was a very interesting conversation. But just to throw out how little that word seems to mean anymore, even for a guy like me, it's just like, I can't trust when people say that anymore. Maybe that's a problem. But no, the biggest thing that she came back at me on, which I was kind of just like taken back by at first, but I did enjoy the pushback. I really genuinely did, was her saying that she didn't believe that I was an Antifa member. And in my head, I'm like, oh, here we go. I know she's a little fiery. So I'm just like, oh, okay, well, she's pressuring me. She's trying to get some information. So I, didn't hesitate, gave her my side of the story, back and forth, back and forth. But no, she really, I think her point by the end of the interview, the more she kept coming back to that point and further explaining things, is really kind of what I've been saying on the channel all along, that I was a drifter, that I was looking for my place, that I never fell into any particular chapter or cell. So she's kind of right. Like, that means that I wasn't, in that aspect, in the more official sense, a member. So that was a very interesting perspective to hear, because I'd never really been challenged on my thoughts like that, because really, again, like I said, she's saying what I've been saying. She just phrased it in a different way. That honestly kind of felt like it took some weight off my shoulders in a weird way. That being said, I still believe I was a member of Antifa. What do I mean by that? It's much more nuanced and complicated than even people like Karlyn Borysenko and Andy No can understand. Tim Pool or any of the others. And I think that that's kind of what my experience is teaching, is that there's an underbelly to all of this. And a lot of it is fueled by drugs and depression and psychological trauma. And, I was telling someone in the comments, like, I feel like my role in Antifa at the end of the day is I was a therapist. It's the same in the workplace. It's the same with a lot of places I go. People just feel like they can talk to me because they can. I'm not going to be judgmental. And if I have something to say and it's harsh, like, it's typically only when people need to hear it. And on occasion, I've misfired and overstepped and said some things that have hurt people. But for the most part, I always keep it real with people. And I've always been kind of like a therapist of sorts to these people. As a result, I've spent most of my life, right back down to my father in my youngest years. Like, I'm always trying to keep someone from committing suicide. Always. Not a year goes by where someone's not trying to commit suicide. Ever. With anyone that I've ever met. And I'm always the guy trying to be like, hey, buddy, been there. Come on. Let's talk about this. Open up. And the same can be said for a lot of the people in Antifa. And that's how I got to know so many people on a personal level. How I got to learn about their spiritual practices, about their family backgrounds, about their traumas, about their fears, about their hopes. So, I've struggled over the past 2 years by the way I've been doing this channel. I keep saying 1, and that's just because time has been so weird these last 2 years that, again, I have the wrong date tattooed on my arm from a riot. That should be the 30th. Dates aren't always my strong suit. But I've been struggling to figure out what this is. That's why the channel's kind of all over the place. Is it's just me using my artistic expression and creativity to kind of figure out what's right, what's wrong, what can I hit different tones, emotions, It's the channel's kind of been a playground in a way. But more importantly than that, Triple B for me has been a battle. It's been me declaring war on the forces of darkness that I invited into my life, that I became, and that I allowed to destroy my country. And I'm not even necessarily talking about Antifa there. I just want to know who's encouraging these people to do this, who's paying for these kids to do this. I want the money to be tracked. I want it to be followed. But more importantly, I want these people to have a way out. And if they have gotten out and they're still struggling, then there has to be some way to help them, because the American people need that right now more than ever, is the perspective of people who were a part of the Antifa movement, because having those stories and having them told, these people leaving the cult to tell all the cult's dirty secrets, that's going to devalue them saying things in the comments constantly like, we're not an organization, we're just an idea, you can't define us. All these things they like to throw in there, they're just cult tactics. So when people step out from the cult and speak out on that, that is going to be the strongest sledgehammer against the Antifa movement. I truly believe this. And if people like me and Brother Scrub are liars, then people in Antifa, you should have nothing to fear. Because that's all we're here to do, is tell our stories and to get some answers. But no, the reality is I was in Antifa. But for those out there who would say that I'm not, or that I wasn't, that's fine. Maybe it'll be a debate till the end of time. But Brother Scrub, he was black bloc. Getting called out the way I did in that Karlyn Borysenko interview, that was a mind fuck. Because apparently Karlyn is the one who set up the interview between Eric, the ex-Antifa whistleblower on Fox News. And he had her call me out. And really, in the same way that I've been sitting here getting annoyed, being told that my story isn't real, that I wasn't a part of this, that I'm just a plant, that somebody's paying me, things that aren't true, I went and did the same thing to him. And that fucked with me a little bit, because I want to be someone that can help these people. So I have to really consider what I'm doing. And the reality is, she called me out on not knowing what zines were. Realistically, if I ever heard that term, it was probably, I considered it Gen Z slang and just rolled my eyes, because it's such a stupid sounding fucking word. And I should have got it on the interview because it was just in a folder over there, but I sent her pictures of it. These are my zines. What they mean when they say peace and the making of outside agitators. 2 essays on the rebellion in Ferguson. Community organizing basics. Activist, organizers, and leaders, community organizing principles, conversations with new or existing volunteers, convening meetings/teams. By the Neighborhood Anarchist Collective. Understanding patriarchy. What is security culture? A guide to staying safe. Life Without Law, an introduction to anarchist politics. Now, because my views on how I should be in Antifa was so different, I wanted to think differently than everybody else. So I had different focuses. I was watching the riot footage constantly. Typically, if I was reading, it would be about more Nazi stuff, but also I spent a lot of time just in esoteric literature. I was sooner to go through something about the Necronomicon or the Emerald Tablets of Thoth or something like that before this. For me, it was just, that was good to get out there because it furthers our message, and that I didn't really need to pay attention to it. The only time that I ever really read through any of them was probably about a year or two after I left. I found them and I was just like, I read through a few pages and I was just like, oh, this is stupid. Why did I fall for this? And I just kind of put them back up and I didn't even look back at them. People keep sending me all this information on Antifa, which I appreciate. Just keep doing it because I'm going to get to a lot of it when I can. But the reality is that now I've gone on such big podcasts and I'm like, the message is starting to get out there. I'm feeling drowned as shit. And I only did it to myself. I've always done that to myself. I always drown myself in projects. But also a problem with that in my past is that means a lot of projects haven't been seen through, which is what I wanted this podcast to be, was a finished project, proving to myself that I can finish a fucking project. And I still want to continue with it for as long as necessary, but it's certainly not going to be forever. But I want to keep it open as a way to allow people who are in Antifa or who've been a part of any side of this, really. Like, I'm down to talk to anybody, but I really want to talk to former Antifa members the most. I still want to have this as a place where we can have these really unorthodox conversations, because these conversations are pretty unorthodox on the channel, given how we all treat each other on a daily basis. And I think we all need to talk to each other a little more like the conversations held here on the channel, like with Karlyn Borysenko. I think fascism's fucking abhorrent. I did not agree with a lot of her perspective on history and, some of her, there's some ideological differences, but here's the reality. I don't care. Because from what I've heard talking to a lot of these people on the far right, they'd rather just keep what we have going now. They're just scared that they're going to have that's going to be their only option in the end, because Antifa's pushed it too fucking far. That's something that I'm gathering. That's some commonality. I could see their thought process on that. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, no, you dumb bitch. This is where your theory is wrong. And don't you know what happened to the Jewish people and this and that and that? She's heard it. She's heard it. What can I bring to the table that's different? Maybe just listening to what she has to say. And I think God shone through in the end, because then Eric from Fox News reached out. Basically said, hey, I appreciate the way you handled that. And I'll offer a retraction video, but let this be the first time I've said it publicly. Man, I'm sorry. That wasn't cool of me. I had the same emotional impulses as everybody else, and I followed the crowd. That's exactly what I want to break free from. So I'm trying to treat my mind healthier. I'm trying not to overly focus, quite frankly, on too much of what Antifa has going on in the current moment. Because for all those years, I was watching Antifa constantly, seeing what they were doing, following all the battles around the country. And it wasn't good for my mind. So it's actually very hard for me to sit here and go through a lot of this. I still don't really quite know who Tommy Boy is. I've just seen a couple Punch videos. I don't know his story. I really like Nick Shirley. I followed some Nick Shirley, and he's really good at what he does. I've watched a few videos on Karlyn Borysenko, but I don't lock myself in the back cave that much anymore, just focusing on it constantly. Or rather, that's what I'm trying not to do, because it's still very hard not to do that sometimes. So it's why I have so much alien and metaphysical stuff on the channel, is it's like I need a break from that every now and again. Yeah, I should probably be reading through these right now, and I'm going to on the channel. I'll do a reading video. But really, what I'm trying to do lately, I'm trying to read Star Wars. I'm trying to read some comic books. I'm trying to put together some scripts for some fun fan film projects that I think could be super dope, super creative. Yeah, something that doesn't really have to do much with the channel, but I don't want to be the next Andy No. I don't want to be the next Karlyn Borysenko. I don't want to be Antifa's top enemy. I don't want to be some crazy political figure. I want to be me. And I'm a geeky white boy. I'm a fucking nerd. I love conspiracies. I love aliens. I love the paranormal. I love learning about extremism. I love politics. I love the darker side of life and understanding the deeper workings of things. I I want to make my time on this earth worth it, being the best me that I can, because for my entire life, even before Antifa, I treated myself like shit. And I had a shitty life because of it. I didn't live up to my potential. I lied, I cheated, I stole, I became a junkie, I became an alcoholic. I pushed away a lot of people in my life. I severed a lot of family ties that I shouldn't have. I took a lot of abuse from a lot of people that I shouldn't have. But I've also seen a lot of crazy shit in this world. And I want to continue to expand my knowledge on that by talking to other people who've been through the same shit and who can offer me something to further my knowledge. You know, I was a part of Antifa, but I'm also not going to sit here and pretend like I was some big fish and I have all the fucking answers. I'd like to talk to the big fish that have the answers. And I just have a lot of things to consider, a lot of things I'm working on. You know, part of me is like, been hearing a lot about the idea of a nonprofit. I've been talking to people about that. Could a nonprofit help to de-radicalize people and get people out of these spaces, be it on the far left or the far right? Or gangs or cults in general? You know, I'd like to help those people outside of a podcast one day. I've been grappling with the fact that when I decided to start this podcast, I was like, I don't want to be a tattoo artist anymore. It's brought me a lot of pleasure, and I spent some years learning how to do it, and I've had fun doing it, and I'll still probably tattoo on occasion. But that was a hard one because I always wanted to be a tattoo artist. But now I'm sitting here thinking, I'd like to be a tattoo removal technician. That's going to take a lot of saving up money, going to school, learning the craft, something I know very little about. But that means that I can't drown myself in Antifa 24/7. Otherwise, I'm not really breaking away from it. And then I'm not setting a good example for others to break away from it too, because the reality is I'm doing this because I don't want a fucking civil war. So I'm throwing everything that I can at it. All my music, all my videos, all my sins, my stories about my friends, people that I miss fucking every day. As much as I've been angry with them for the past 2 years, and a lot of my rage has come out in the channel, I miss them. But I also wish they knew how responsible they were for this, because even little guys like me were responsible. And I'm going to carry that weight for the rest of my life until the day that I die, and hopefully I go to heaven. Because I've lived through hell, and I don't like it. It's not fun. So I'm very grateful for my conversation with Karlyn. And I'm grateful for every conversation that I've had here on the channel. Even if it's the last conversation I'll ever have with a lot of these people, I'm always going to treasure it. Even if this whole channel got yanked tomorrow, it can never be taken away from me. So, thank you guys. Thank you, Karlyn. Thank you, Eric. Thank you for everybody who's been a part of the collective. Probably wake my dog up. He's whimpering. All right. Peace and love you guys.
I miss the days when no one even knew my name. Now everywhere I go, I wear a hat to hide my face. I got weapons hidden inside every room in my place. Now I have to keep a pistol on me always, just in case. This is a nightmare. Never expected the fame to be something I would wrestle with and fight to embrace. Sometimes I feel like the love I get's outweighed by the hate. I hid the tears, but I can't hide from the pain. I'm working 20-hour days, can't even lie to y'all, I'm burnt out. I sleep on my weight bench, trying to find the strength to work out. Should be happy I'm successful, I just went and bought my first house. Thought money would help cure my depression, but it's worse. How? I'm tired of it. Lucky I don't have a manager, cause I'll be firing them. Tired of talking to other artists who just want to tell me I'm inspiring them. Parents keep telling me they have a kid reach the ground. They're coming in crowds, blew me up like a balloon and let me go. Watch me float away while I scream no. Every time I get close, they pull out their phones, like maybe this time we can see them explode. Blew me up like a balloon and let me go. They all throwing rocks cause they tryna poke holes. They wanna see me pop, they don't wanna see me blow. They're the reason that I'm gone, they don't wanna see me go. Blew me up like a balloon and left me. I miss the times when I could go outside. I didn't have to watch my back out of the corner of my eye. I didn't have to fake a smile and pose for pictures all the time. Can't even lie, I miss when time was really mine. Now I just belong to everybody else but me. These panic attacks are making it awful hard to breathe. Built a vocal booth inside the crib and stopped making beats. Don't even rap, I stand inside of it and scream.
Like this is not what I expected. I work my hands to the bone, and my anxiety is triggered by the apps on my phone. I tried deleting them so the internet would leave me alone, but the lack of attention made me feel worse than before. I'm sick of it all. The internet watching me trip when I fall. Embarrassed that everyone witnesses all. My illness isn't real time, man, I'm addicted to y'all. Rappers on Twitter don't get me involved. I'm posing for photos with fans in the mall and dying inside pretending I'm strong. I'm not a celebrity, I am just tall.
Fill me like a balloon and let me go. Watch me float away while I scream no. Every time I get close, they pull out their phones, like maybe this time we can see them explode. Blew me up like a balloon and let me go. They all throwing rocks cause they tryna poke holes. They wanna see me pop, they don't wanna see me blow. They're the reason that I'm gone, they don't wanna see me go. Blew me up like a balloon and left me. I miss the years when every Friday wasn't spent with my therapist. Then I realized I hated fame and accepted I'm scared of it. I got Ativan, Cipralex, Xanax, and Seroquel in a Tupperware container. I don't touch, I just stare at them. Breathing exercise is supposed to help me to cope, but nothing works quite as good as a bottle of Jack and a smoke. I try to focus on my breath, but it gets stuck in my throat. This never happened back when I was young and happy and broke.
I never thought I'd be the rapper all these rappers trying to be. Posting 20 times a day, now I don't have no privacy. Meeting with these major labels, CEOs with giant teams. If y'all want to do business, why are y'all trying to lie to me? I'm bored of the fame. Every time it feels fresh again, I'm getting more of the same. Interviewers think they know who I am. They made up their mind before I explain. Well, because you asked so nice, I guess I'll tell. Ain't been feeling too hot lately, Jim. Is there anything else? Great, cause lately every day I feel like I'm living in hell. I'm glad the music helps you, but I might really kill myself. When this magazine gets printed, can you send one to my house? I'd like to own a tiny piece of me like everybody else.
Go, watch me float away while I scream no. Every time I get close, they pull out their phones, like maybe this time we can see them explode. Blew me up like a balloon and let me